Hello people and welcome to Open the Vaults. I have managed to round up these two into one place, which is a near impossible task. So round of applause please. I have Manny Chocolate Chima to my left. Say hi, Manny. Oh, okay. Yeah, you couldn't hear them because I forgot to unmute them. Say hi, Manny.
I expect nothing less from you.
And this is the Glasshammer standard. And say hi, Alex.
Hello!
Right, and we are here this week to talk about a few different bits. We're here to talk about what is on pre-order tomorrow, being as it is the Christmas weekend. We'll also be talking about the Alex's tournament experience at Element Games Grand Slam last weekend. We have Belgium Team Championship news coming, which is next February, and also chapter approved rumours to come. That's what we'll be talking about this week. So sit back, relax, get your Chinese on order, or enjoy your Chinese if it's already arrived, like Alex's. Alex, what are you eating, mate?
I'm eating a chicken kebab with chips, and it's absolutely filthy, and I love it.
A British classic, I like it. Awesome. Right, okay, so I tell you what, guys, I will bore you with the basic things that we have to talk about every week. We are a store. We have a brilliant website at www.glasshammergaming.co.uk, and every Saturday morning at 6 o'clock all the new releases come out for you guys to snatch up. This week it is the Christmas holiday. The Christmas release kind of coming up. So you've got all the tasty things like the collector's boxes. We have a Space Marine Primaris Interdiction Force, which is it's just a whole lot of Primaris Marines basically. They're all £100 RRP, but being as we are Glasshammer and we're here to help you guys out with your hobby collections, we're always 20% off, which makes it a nice $79.99 for everyone buying from the Glasshammer store. So we have the Primaris Force. We have an Imperial Fists box, which is pretty interesting, as it's very rare Imperial Fists get any love at all. There's a Death Guard one, a Adeptus Mechanicus one, a Necrons one, Craft Worlds, and then that's all the 40k ones, but there's Slaves to Darkness, there's Seraphon, Daughters of Cain, Ideneth Deepkin. Loads of these boxes that you guys can jump on, and you get a hell of a lot of models for 80 quid as well. They're doing a nice little deal, so you get, for 100 quid you're getting a good deal, which is RRP. They kind of reduce a load into one box, so you're getting a great deal at 20% off. So jump on there tomorrow, guys, and grab that. There is some Blood Bowl and some Necromunda stuff to grab on there as well. There's also I don't know a lot about Blood Bowl and Necromunda, so please kind of, insert great Blood Bowl and Necromunda deal here, kind of thing.
Blood Bowl is like American football with orcs and elves.
I'm sure it's a fun
And it's a lot more violent.
So, you guys enjoy yourself if that's what you're into. It's
actually quite a good game, to be fair.
I've heard Blood Bowl is an absolutely amazing game. It's supposed to be really tactical and really good. It's just something I've never got around to playing. So, let us know if you think it's really that good. But there is an Adeptus Titanicus thing as well, a Titan battle group, which has a few different Titans in, and as everyone's kind of probably spotted, Adeptus Titanicus is quite an expensive game to get into. The models are quite, from what I've heard, it's a really good game. Everyone's really enjoying it, but it's quite expensive. But this is the first kind of group deal they've done, so you get like a load of different Titans all in one box set. And that they're kind of, I think they're shoving that out there. That's also $79.99. which again, if you know how expensive the game is pretty
Right,
cheap
Dan,
for a load of time.
has Manny crashed, or is he just constantly got that smile on his face?
Yeah. That's just how Manny looks. He always looks like that.
I can't stop laughing. That's so good.
Oh, he's changed. Wait.
I don't know whether he's crashed or he's doing it on purpose.
I preferred the original face. He looks really concerned now. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
He's back.
Oh, it's slowly moving.
Oh, God.
My fault. It's a poor network
How
connection.
professional do we look?
It's just so funny.
Manny, get a decent internet
We don't get
connection,
like great internet over here in India. Huh?
I think Manny, you're in Mumbai or something.
Yeah, I'm back in the motherland.
Manny. You cheap bugger. Get a proper internet connection. Get the hamster to run faster. Do it. I suppose he'll catch up eventually. But yeah, that's all the releases that are on the website tomorrow, guys. So yeah, please jump on. Grab anything that you need from the Glasshammer store. Obviously, everything before these releases is on there at a tasty 20% off. So moving on quickly, Alex, I was hoping you could give us a rundown of your Grand Slam experience last weekend. Kind of give us some lessons learned. Give us some interesting facts on what you learned and kind of what armies you faced and what you think might come up.
Yeah, man, sure. So so who did I play? So I took a very similar list to Manny. We both discussed how obviously I wanted to go back to Tau because I tried flitting into different things like Imperial Soup and it just didn't suit my playstyle, so I went back to Tau. I think we can probably post my list later on. Pardon me. On the website for you guys to check, or if one of you want to find it now. But yeah, I basically took, 2 Riptides, 95 Fire Warriors, 2 sets of Pathfinders, an Ethereal, some other characters like Fireblades and stuff, and 3 Farsight Marksmen. So it was very similar to what Manny took, except he had 2 Ion Commanders, but he took the 3rd Ion Commander, 40 extra Fire Warriors instead of one of the Riptides. And I had some Shield Drones as well, like 9 I think it was. So fairly, I'd say standard, but it's different because usually you see the Hammerheads or Broadsides or 4 what do you call them? 3 Riptides. So slight different variation to the norm, but we both decided that the meta's kind of heading towards you need board control and things like that.
Yeah.
In the end, I didn't play against any kind of armies I wanted to play against. So yeah, I started. My first matchup was against Tim Smith, really great guy. Used to be in Team England. Stopped playing a while ago, but he's come back recently, doing quite well. Got a beautiful painted knight army. He had 3 different knights with the Loyal 32, which is basically the Battalion of Guard, and some Space Wolf characters in a Supreme, which is quite interesting. Mm-hmm. He went first, pushed forward, wasn't expecting my return fire. I killed a Gallant turn 1 with just Fire Warriors and stuff. The list is posted in the comments now, guys, if you want to check it out. And from there, it was a bit of a slow game to start. I tried to play as quick as I could, but Tau being Tau, and the first game of the day, I think we started a bit late as well. I couldn't finish the game. It ended 17-3 to me, because I basically, as soon as I killed that knight, I just pushed forward and get board control, and he couldn't really commit anything. His characters died to Overwatch. It wasn't a really great matchup for him anyway, because he didn't have enough guns. He only had a Warden, Gallant, and Castellan. And Castellan doesn't really do much to me because of the Shield Drones protect the Riptides and the rest of the army. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a good game in the end, but we only played 3 turns, which was a bit unfortunate. So it was a 17-3 to me. Mm-hmm. but yeah, great guy. Glad to see him back on the scene, and hopefully we'll see him again at the next tournament. Next game, I played Gaz Jones. Gaz is part of the Northern Warlords guys. He's been to plenty of tournaments. He's also played for England this year, so great guy.
Yes.
His list was quite spicy. It was 6 Warwalkers with scatter lasers.
Yes.
If people remember those from like 6th edition.
Yes, I love
Yeah,
Warwalkers.
it was a really cool army.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was very extreme. So yeah, he had them. He had the usual suspects like Farseer with Doom and Guide. I can't remember what else was in the Elder detachment, but yeah, 3 Ravagers, Blackheart with the Archon, so they were sat at the back shooting, and then he had 3 units of 5 or 6 Harlequin bikes. So it was very extreme. There was loads of shooting, and I think it came down to first turn, because obviously all that shooting and combat can do quite a big number, even with 3+ save on the Fire Warriors. He did get first turn, but I looked at Manny and I was like, I'm feeling them.
Okay.
Because Manny was playing next to me, or opposite me game 1, and then next to me game 2. So he's like following me around all this time, and I'll explain how this ends up in a minute. But I end up seizing on him, so that was great because that helped me massively. And I managed to kill like all the bikes turn 1. And
Did he not
and then
outflank the Warwalkers?
No, he deployed them all.
Did he?
You can outflank them, but they won't arrive till turn 2 onwards. So
Yeah. I think
mean,
it was that game though. I think it was a very first turn game. That's why he deployed them all.
I mean,
Yeah.
that shows what a good list Gaz has got, though, because I think when I looked at his on paper, it's very anti-mech. It's a very anti-mech list. Not like if he comes up against knights, he should just absolutely run through it. So the fact that he's come up against you with loads of fire warriors and quite a lot of small infantry MSU units. The fact that he's come up against that and you've said that it's a first turn kind of gamble shows just how good that list is that he's got.
Well, the Haywire is still D6 strength 4 shots, so there's plenty of shots there. They've still got combat as well. He's got all the scatter lasers. Ravagers kill like half, if not 3/4 of a squad of Fire Warriors a turn. It does stack up over the course of the game, but Alpha Strike giving him the push and putting me on the back edge is quite big. But luckily I stole, so it was the opposite. I just pushed him because we were playing quarters. And in the end, it came down to turn 5 for the tabling. I charged the unit of 10 Fire Warriors into combat with the Archon, that lost the wounds like earlier. He took some wounds, and literally the first roll he took was a 1, so he lost his shadow.
Oh no! you
the
can't
Fire Warriors
roll it either. That shadow field, can you?
Oh, can you not?
No, I think it specifically says you can't re-roll it for any reason.
Well, he didn't have any command points left anyway. He's only got like 5 in that army to start with, or 6. But yeah, I charged in 10 Fire Warriors and had 2 wounds left, and they just went, "Go Fish Warriors!"
Well, I've got Gaz Jones' list here, and I'm going to put that right in the chat now, just in case anyone was wondering, because I think it's a really good list. I do really like it. Yeah. Just because it's got Warwalkers in it, and I bloody love Warwalkers. They're great.
Man. They're quite durable actually, because they've got the invulnerable save and the feel no pain because they're Ulthway, so they were quite annoying to kill, to be fair.
Yeah, the outflanking's good. The fact that they've got a 5-up invuln is good. I think the only reason you don't see them at the moment is point for point. If you were to load up a unit of jet bikes with scatter lasers, you can just get more scatter laser shots for less points compared to those
or shining spears.
Well, yeah, or if you really wanted to, you just take shining spears. But I think if you're just taking pure how many scatter lasers can I get for this amount of points, you can get more with jet bikes than you can Warwalkers, because I do remember looking at them myself. So that's probably the reason why you don't see them. Yeah.
So that game ended 20-0 to me. Managed to table him on turn 5. I think it would have been 20-0 anyway, even if it didn't end turn 5. But yeah, So yeah, obviously, as I said earlier, Manny was very close to me throughout the first 2 games, and then lo and behold, out of all the players there, and we discussed this on the way up,
Yeah.
it was quite frustrating. Well, not as frustrating for him, but very frustrating for me. If we ended up playing each other, and round 5 we were faced off against each other. Now I love playing Manny, but you know when you're just like it doesn't matter what I do here, I'm screwed from the lists. His list just it beats mine because the stuff he's got that I don't works better against
it works
me.
over the attrition. It's better in the attrition against each other.
Yeah. And we both agreed that if I go first, it's a game.
Yeah.
Whereas if he goes first, even if he went first in the end. But we were saying if I went first, it wouldn't have made a difference because if I kill say 30, 40 firers, which I think I did, but then it wouldn't have been that much because you would have had the 3+ save.
Yeah.
I would have only killed like say 25 to 30. He's still got 110, whereas if he kills 20 to 30 of mine, I only have 70 firers left. So it's just a game of attrition. So yeah, he went first. I thought I was quite clever with my deployment. So okay, going back, I asked
Someone
Jordan.
forgot the mission.
Well, I don't know. And I asked one of the refs, Jordan. I turned to Jordan and I was like, "Oh, Jordan, we're playing." Every turn the card goes up, right? I can't remember my exact wording, but it was along those lines where you get a Maelstrom card every turn, like it starts with 1, then 2, then 3. And he's like, yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, great. I can play that, you know. So my idea in my head was I'll null deploy because I know who's going to deploy centrally. I'll null deploy in the corner, and then it means that he won't get all his fire warriors shooting me turn 1, just like 2/3, maybe 3/4, which makes quite a big difference. Yeah. And forces him to use
it was just the look at his face which was great because his turn 1 actually went really. His plan went to plan because I came forward, only killed about 20 fire warriors. But then Alex shot back and killed like 40 odd. But he was castled in the corner, and I'd moved all my pathfinders and things first turn, advanced them all. So at the start of my turn 2, I went to draw 4 cards, and he was like, "No, what are you doing? It's not that mission." And then he was like, "Oh, he's taken the board."
So Jordan happened to be there when we said, I was like, Jordan, like, yeah. Are we playing the mission where you get a card for every objective you're on? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna kill you. So yeah, like it was too late by then. Like the way I deployed, I mean, I probably would have done that anyway. To be fair, because I knew I was going second, but I don't know. It did wind me up a bit, but it's just one of them, isn't it? You're like, oh.
Why did you know you were
going second, Alex?
Well, let's put it this way. I think me and Manny have played now 10 times, and I've gone first once. This is even with +1. This is even with actually winning the roll. He'll either seize on me. He'll just still roll higher than me. It doesn't matter what I do. I can pray to the dark gods. I can pray to anything. I'll kill about 3 chickens before we play. It doesn't matter. He will go first.
It's consistent results, though, Alex. You can't argue with it. It's consistent
results. That's it.
He consistently goes first. And people are like, "Oh, first turn isn't that big," and I go, "Yeah, sure, pal."
Yeah, play
you keep
a few times, and then you'll know.
Yeah. To be fair, oh god, I'm choking. To be fair, like these towel lists that Manny used, they don't necessarily rely on first turn as much as like the Hammerhead version or the Riptide version because of the +1 save. Like for all those fire warriors on a 3+ save, and at least mine Unleash at 10, his Unleash at 9 with the Ethereal. It's not. That's why I like the army. It's not as reliant as going first. But when you're against like a mirror match where you know one's gone a bit more extreme than you, massively first turn. Yeah. And to add insult to injury, I think it was turn 2 because someone came up and was I don't know what they were saying. They're like, "Oh yeah, it's a game like." Because you've got 2 Riptides, that's pretty big. And I said, yeah, that's true. Like, having 2 Riptides is massive because they're quite durable. They can delete a squad a turn, a squad and a half maybe. That makes a big difference. So in good old Manny fashion, he moves up, and I was quite surprised by this move, but he went for it anyway. He moved all 3 commanders up. I think only 2 were in range of the of my Riptide, and he shot his Riptide at my Riptide, and he killed I think he only killed 3 drones.
Yeah.
And caused a couple of wounds, 4 wounds on the Riptide. Oh no, sorry, you didn't kill any drones. You just caused 4 or 6 wounds on the Riptide.
Yeah.
Because I just tanked them all. And then he shot 2 commanders, and they've got 12 shots each. He obviously used the +1 to wound stratagem, so hitting on 2s, win on 2s. So he did get 22 wounds or something. But I passed, majority and saved quite a lot on the drones.
Yeah.
And there was 10 wounds left, and I rolled them and passed 2 3+ invulnerables. 2 out of 10. And I looked at him and he was like, "Oh my god." He was like, "That should not have happened." So I was like, "Oh god." So income. Yeah. 3 damage rolls, and I'm like, okay, if he rolls average, it's dead. But maybe if he rolls below average, I'll tank a few more wounds. And this is after the drones dying as well. That was bad luck. Yeah, he rolled 30 wounds or something. So it just exploded, and he looked at me and he was like, to be fair to him, he was so sorry because he just couldn't believe. Even Manny couldn't believe that luck.
It was just so bad.
You didn't believe, mate. You didn't believe.
Oh.
Can I ask as well, Alex? Can I ask? Were you using Glasshammer dice to roll these saves?
To be fair, I was using Team England ones, and they've all been thrown in the bin.
Shock it. Well, I'm just saying, Glasshammer dice wouldn't have rolled. 8 out of 10 fails. So.
No, they would have rolled 7 out of 10.
Let that be a lesson to you. Let that be a lesson to you.
I don't think it mattered what dice I rolled against Manny.
It doesn't. They could have been loaded, and it'd still find a way
the thing
to
is,
ammo.
even if I rolled average or slightly below average and failed 5, he'd still go 15 damage.
Yeah, he would.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I ended up losing 20-0 against Manny.
Yeah.
I think we just called it turn 3 or 4 after that. Because I didn't have much left, so I was like, I tried to get a point out of it, but I couldn't get out of that situation. So yeah, that was good. Game 3. Finished the day on 37 out of 60. No, 47. 37. Yeah, 37 out of 60. Quick maths. Then going into day 2, who was I up against? Oh, so I was meant to be on table 16 playing someone. I can't remember who. I think it's a guy called Simon from the top of my head. He didn't turn up. And then on table 3, I think it was table 2 actually.
Yeah.
Malik with Yanari was meant to be playing Mike Porter, who's quite a prominent tournament player as well.
Yes.
And he was using Chaos Soup. But when it came to actually starting the game, my opponent wasn't there. Turned out he dropped, and Malik's opponent didn't turn up, and we don't know where Mike was. And to avoid any of that issue, I said to Tim, I'll play Malik. I've got no issues with it. I consider ourselves both good players, so it's not like it was a mismatch as such. It wasn't like something.
At the end of the day, you've paid your tournament ticket to play 5 games, so rather than sit around for 3 hours, you'd much rather play someone, wouldn't you? So.
Yeah. I mean, we both could have got a 20-0, but I'd rather play a game. Do you know what I mean? I was in the mood as well.
No, I totally agree.
So I went into this game pretty confident. Actually, I thought, okay, I've got a plan, but unfortunately, my execution wasn't how I didn't think.
4.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a good idea. I just hadn't practiced it. It was in my head. Do you know what I mean? When you've got an idea in your head, in my head, I was like, right, what you do with the Fire Warriors is you string them out vertically, so that it doesn't matter how the Shining Spears go. Because sorry, I should go into what he was using.
Yes, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, he's using the standard double spears, Dark Reapers, and support, and in this case the support was three flyers. So it's very, very good against my list. You know, Yunari is the biggest pain. Well, Yunari and Imperial Soup, funny enough, the two biggest armies are the hardest armies for Tal to deal with. So yeah, I was coming up with this game. I wasn't overly confident, but I thought I can deal with it. So my idea was I'd horizontally deploy the Fire Warriors, so that it didn't matter how he could go about it. He could never soul burst off my Fire Warriors.
Yeah, because just to point out to anyone who doesn't understand that, so when you take models off, you take them off one at a time. So unless you're shining spears, say they kill a unit, unless they're within 7 inches, which is needed to soul burst, of every model in a unit, they can't soul burst, because you take off the first 9, say, and then the last one, whichever one is out of 7 inches of the shining spears, you take that one last, and you say, well, that one was the last to die, so you can't soul burst anymore. That's the whole idea of spreading your models out, so you keep them out of soul burst range, so they can't shoot again, or move again, or fight again, or whatever craziness it is that they're trying to do. So sorry, yeah, just let people know.
No, that's cool. Looking back on it, there's so I strung it out like in a line of single file models, and it's something I want to practice and maybe do a video in the future on giving some tips for other Tau players as well, is how to do it correctly, unlike the way I did it. And I believe that a good way of doing it is maybe doing it like 2x2, where you've got two, they're all touching base, conjoined, or maybe you can do 2-3, 2-3, 2-3. The problem is you've still got that issue where they can get within 7, but at least it gives you a chance. But yeah, like the way I did it, where it's like file 1 by 1, meant that he could still wrap a model, which was an issue, and it was my fault. Okay. I knew about it, and I still messed it up. So I think it comes down to practicing more against specific armies. Like, it's easy to, like, I'd like to say I've got deploying Tal almost to a T, but there's always that army which, I mean, let's be honest, Yunari have got out of the game abilities, and you've always got to consider ahead, and it's one of those where I could have probably countered it if I thought about it correctly and was in the scenario, but because I was like getting ahead of myself, thinking, oh, all I have to do is be out of 7. When I started deploying, like I was halfway through deploying, and I looked at my models and I was like, wait, he can still wrap in. So I didn't consider both scenarios. So I think something that I could probably do is practice and potentially show people on how to do it, is being roughly out of 7. Like, you're never going to always be out of 7, but trying to be as far back as you can whilst stopping your opponent wrapping your models. So something like we can work on in the future. But yeah, that's my mistake. But yeah, going back, the game was great. Malik's a really great guy. Now I like to think of myself as a person who lets off quite a lot. I don't like winning on technicality. I like to win on a good, hard game. But there's some scenarios which do make you think, what I'm going on about is takebacks. All right, takebacks. And there was a big discussion on takebacks. We had a post on an article that I wrote about it, because I think it's quite an interesting subject. Everyone looks at takebacks differently. Hello, Matt. Cheers to have you on the stream, bro. Yeah, it's a very interesting subject, I think, with takebacks, and everyone has their own opinion of it. Now, my opinion is anything slight, like, moving a model too far or forgetting to shoot something, but you're still in that sort of phase, is fine. You can go back and do that. Where I sort of draw the line is game-changing things where you're like, oh, man, you should know this better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if you move on to the next phase and then you're like, oh, I'm going to go back all the way back and do this. Do you know what I mean? Like that. That's where I sort of draw the line. And I'll let you jump in a sec. When it comes to top tier players playing off against each other, and Malik is a great player, he's won lots of tournaments, stuff like that. I would expect each other to have respect for one another, but at the same time, like, go, well, if you make a mistake, we're going to capitalize on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the scenario I'm on about in this case was there was actually two scenarios. The first one was Malik had advanced his spears, shining spears, 22 inches or something, however far they move. And in my head, I knew what he was doing, but I'm not going to say anything. And he then moved on to shooting phase, and he rolled the dice and shot with, I think, his flyer. He shot the whole flyer. Oh, sorry, no, going back, it was the psychic phase. Sorry, he cast a power. I don't know what it was, and then after he cast that power, he's gone. I forgot to say, but my intention was clear, that I was going to advance and use a stratagem to charge after I advanced.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in a bit of a dilemma here, because at the same time, I'm representing Glasshammer. I don't want to come across as a dick.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like, the game, it doesn't matter for me. Like, I'm not on table 2. But at the same time, I don't want to show disrespect to my opponent and go and just be a bit of a walkover as well. Like, that is a big mistake. Like, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. I felt that could even warrant me saying no. And I didn't say initially, like, oh no, you can't go back and do that. I said, well, Malik, that's a pretty big thing. And he's like, oh, well, you knew my intention. And I said to him, well, even if I did, like, even if you look at something, you go, okay, I'm guessing he's going to do this. You can say that for anything. Like, your opponent will always guess, like, what you're going to do. And then if you don't do it, you think, oh, okay, he's done something else, or he's not thought about doing what I assumed he would. Do you know what I mean? So we had a bit of a discussion. He said I was being a little bit gamey with it, and I shouldn't go back. And I said, well, to be fair, like, it's pretty. You could say the same thing about you asking me. Do you know what I mean? So I said to him in the end, I said, look, we'll 4+ it. That I felt was the fairest way, without me coming across as gamey or him coming across as making such a game-changing, mistake. But he didn't accept that, and it I wouldn't say it became heated at all. It was more of a discussion. Like, obviously he was discussing his side, and and then in the end, I put my hands up and said, look, go ahead, do it. I said to him, I'm not going to win on a technicality, and I don't want you thinking ill of this game or me, right? Because ultimately, I think you've got to look at it two sides. I don't want him walking away from the game feeling sour. But it's.
So the thing is, I know you did that write-up, didn't you, on take-backs and all that kind of thing, and I think what I generally took from that, from all the replies and everything that someone said was, you can do a take-back until you move on to the next phase. I think a lot of people agreed that once you move on to the next phase, that's it then, there's no take-backs. While it's your movement phase, you can take back, you can redo, you can do whatever the hell you want. But once you go on to the next bit, that's it then. Everything you've done is a final. Which I think is generally a good way to do it. However, I can see what Malik was saying at the same time, is that, you wouldn't just advance a unit of spears towards an enemy gun line without the intention of charging them. So I see where he's coming from. But as well, I mean, as a kind of a third point, I mean, that's me looking at both sides of the argument. But as well, what I can also see is the fact that, and I mean, I've had it as well when I'm in games, when I'm at tournaments and I'm playing Ynnari, because they're just head and shoulders above everyone else. They've got so many options. They're so cheap. They can do so much. You do kind of feel as though, and it's got to a point several times of when I'm playing against them, and I've sat there and I've thought, unless he makes a mistake, I've lost. That is how the game's going to go. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait for you to make a mistake. If you do, and if you do, I'm going to capitalise on that, and that's the only way I'm going to win. So when you're playing those people and they do make a slight mistake, exactly like that, with this army that just does bloody everything and it just kills everything all in one go, you think, well, okay, he's done that, and now's my chance. this is how I'm going to win the game. But then you think, I agree.
But that's where
I agree with what you're saying.
that's where I'm
you don't
saying
want to win
winning
on
on
a
a
technicality,
technicality.
but
Yeah,
that is the only way you're going to win against that army. It's I totally understand the predicament you were in, and fair play to you for thinking, this isn't how I want to win. So you in the end you gave it to him, but I find it's a very easy call in games. I like to think that I give people a lot when it comes to take backs and everything. I'm quite a laid back player, but I think me and everyone else is very similar when they come to Ynnari, and it is very specifically Ynnari, is unless I capitalise and they're making a mistake, I've lost. So what do? You feel you have to. You've got to put yourself in that situation and say, no, mate, you can't have it, because otherwise I'm wasting my time here. I'm gonna get 0 points if I don't capitalise on that. So it's a difficult call, mate, and I don't envy you for being in that situation.
The thing is, I think about it as if it's something like really small. For example, if somebody drew secure objective 2, and it was in their own deployment zone, and they intentionally left a character at the back that they were going to move onto that objective, and then they come to the end of the turn, even as late as the end of the turn, so like 3 phases later, they come to the end of the turn, they're looking at the cards they've scored for the turn, and they go, oh, my character was obviously supposed to be standing on secure 2. At that point, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's fine. It's really small. He left it at the back, on purpose, and it's a 1 point difference, and you're not a bad guy then. You let him have it. I think that's good sportsmanship. But then also, when it's a big mistake, something like that's going to change who wins the game, who wins the whole game. I personally don't let people take back big things, because I think that's what makes players better players and more competitive. That's what makes the game competitive, is when you make a mistake and your opponent doesn't let you take that back, you then think to yourself, I'm never making that mistake again, and it makes you a better player. And like, I've had it when I've made a mistake and my opponent's not let me take it back. You feel a little bit sour at the time, but you're like, hey, I'm never going to make that mistake again now. And it does make you a better player. So I think, if it's something small, you let someone off, that's being a sportsman. But if it's something massive, at that point, you've got to be like, I'm going to teach you a lesson here, and you're never going to make this mistake again.
Yeah.
So I think it just makes people better players, and that's going to make the scene more competitive. So that's my stand on it.
Yeah.
I've
seen you play it like that before, and when you approach it as a nice guy, as you are, you do tend to, but this comes down to, as one of the big things as well, is what I made my feelings clear towards the whole thing is, if you get there at the beginning of the game and you make your feelings clear on how you want to play that game, if you say, mate, I'm not messing around, we play by the rules. There's no takebacks, there's no nothing. If you turn up to the table and you declare your intent, I think you're more than you should be able to play the game that way, and I don't think anyone should be funny about it.
I think that's something that needs to happen. At least I think I'm going to be doing that from now on. Not because I'm sour about that whole situation. I think we ended up in that. It was a fine game. I lost in the end, and I'll go back over a few other points in a minute. But I think going to the table, especially in the top tables, and just telling your opponent, right, we're coming to the top of the top tables now. We're both good players. Let's have a chill game. None of this like leaning on over each shoulders, calling each other out on every inch. But if there's something big, there's just no takebacks. You just make sure that you do your turn correctly the first time round, and there's no issues. If there's little things like knocking a model over, or like you said, like there's something clearly, the intent's clear, what you're measuring something, and then when you actually look over, you're like a half a millimeter out, and you could have actually had that movement. Little things like that. You're like, yeah, that's fine, that's cool. Or like forgetting to draw your card, like going back and doing that, or knocking stuff over, whatever. But stuff like that, you just got to say, right, anything like that, no. Like, just make sure you do your turn right. I'm going to expect the same. Like, if I forget something, I forget, okay?
Yeah.
And at least then from the get-go that that's how the game's going to be. Or you could just say to your opponents, no takebacks at all, which I think is a bit extreme, but whatever. Or you can just say, what I like, one player on the tournament scene, Conrad, he says, right, we both get one take back, and after that, nothing.
Oh, that's
and that's an interesting one.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That gives you quite a light-hearted game, I still think, and it makes you think about what you're doing. And then if you do screw up where you are rushed, especially at the late game, you can go, yeah, that's cool, that's your one take back, but from now on, no more. And I like that idea.
That's a good idea.
I also think it's quite a lot about how you come across as well. So I like to think I'm a nice guy in game when I'm playing a game, and I think when people have a disagreement like that, when they think they need to take something back and their opponent should allow them to, they get really confrontational with each other.
Yeah,
and they argue. It's like it's a conversation, but it's like an argumentative conversation.
That's quite basically happened.
Just getting riled up about it. But I always approach it sort of like in a nice way. I'm just like, mate, I think you've gone a bit too far now. I think that's really big, so I can't let you have it. So you just come across in a relaxed and nice way, and that's when people tend to understand, like, step back and think, hey, it's a game, and I've made a mistake.
Exactly,
That's my thing. I think it's just the way people approach it, because at the time it's very hard to take a step back and calm yourself down before you talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what some people struggle with.
Okay. So all right. What we'll do is I'll go on to the next point as we're on this subject of what happened in the game. I think it was actually the same turn, and to be fair to Malik, I think it was because he was so shocked that he almost got caught with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was still a bit like shocked. Not because I tried to. Well, it might be because I tried to stop him, but I don't know what it was. But in the end, we moved on to the shooting phase or the psychic phase. Or was it the shooting phase? Whatever. And he shot, the shooting phase, and he shot his Dark Reapers. He started shooting them. He split his attacks up and shot one at one unit. And then before he finished his shooting, he just moved on to another flyer. And to be fair, I didn't even notice. This because he spent a while like targeting all these different units, and then was like, right, this at there, shot that, and I removed the models. And then he moved on to a flyer and started shooting that and rolled that, hit that, wound that, killed whatever. And then he was like, oh, I've forgot to finish off the shooting, and I was going to fire and fade them. And then I was like, oh man, like, this is getting a bit sloppy now, isn't it? So again, it's like his intention was clear. He moved out and he said, right, they're 6 inches away to fire and fade. And he said that like in the movement phase. So I knew his intention was there. But, you know, when you're just like, oh man, this is like one after the other in the same turn. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell?
But again, it comes back to the fact of, mate, if they were Space Marines and they'd have said that, or Necrons, or, you know, whatever, you wouldn't even thought twice, would you? You would have gone, yeah, fine, mate, of course, move them back.
Yeah.
It's just because it's Ynnari, and it's frustrating. It really is, and I tell you what, God, I hope in Chapter Approved that they sort Ynnari out, because honestly, I just feel so resentful about Ynnari, because it's just annoying that you can't do anything. They just they move out, they murder everything, and then they move out the way, and they charge, and they wrap, and
move about 5 times. It was another scenario like that where, I mean, I wasn't bothered about whether it's Ynnari. I appreciate that, though. I understand where you're coming from. It was just the fact that I was like, oh, okay, I've let him off before. So before we even discussed it, I said, look, I'll give it to you, but you can't shoot them. You either shoot them, like, finish off your shooting, or you move them back. I can't give you both. Like, come on, like, let's be fair. Do you know what I mean? And I said, like, I'm being more than fair there, just letting you do that, which is game-changing again.
Yeah.
But give me something back and just call the end of their shooting. And it was a bit like, but in the end, he moved them back and didn't finish their shooting. So I think that was another fair, amicable solution to that scenario, which could have been game-changing as well. His Reapers were out in the open, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I said, it's one of them, unfortunately. It's a hard call, So I don't envy you at all.
Just like that, because we're on the topic, just want to say the topic is just about take-backs in general and things like that, and that was just a scenario. We're not slating Malik in any way. Malik's a really nice guy, awesome player. Yeah, I played him in the final game, and he went first, and he made no mistakes, and he absolutely butt smashed me.
Yeah.
But it's just we're just talking about take-backs in general. That's it.
I think even more specifically, I think everyone can agree on take-backs in general. I think it's take-backs with Ynnari. That's the difficult point for me. No, genuinely is. That's where the lines blur for me, because I just think, you know what, mate, you've got this absolutely ridiculous army. If you make that mistake, then screw you. You know, this is the only way I'm gonna get 3 points out of this army. So you know what? No, you're not having it. Your Reapers are gonna sit there with your 2+ cover save in bloody cover, and you're going to take my Stormbolters to the face, so screw you.
It's true.
See these bike marines, they're actually going to kill you now. So I'll just move on from that. Like everyone's saying, my game with Malik was great. Apart from, it was great overall. Just obviously those two scenarios came up, and I just thought it would be a good discussion for us to have related to it. It was actually, although the end score was 20-0, it was very close up until the end, and I could have got like 5 or 6 points here and there. Unfortunately, the game did go all the way to the end, and I had 4 Crute Hounds left. I almost got tabled. It was just I tried everything, and I forgot that the unit of spears that were in combat that left to charge couldn't charge, and he killed another unit and soul burst and charged, and I was like, see that? Oh my god! I knew about all the other soul bursts, the double move, the double shoot, and all that stuff. I completely forgot. And to be honest, I don't think me remembering would have made a difference. It just triggered me. As soon as he was like, oh yeah, that unit's dead, now this unit's going to charge, I was like, oh, I hate so much. It was just,
it's crap, isn't it? It's just awful.
It's so frustrating. Like, you try everything, you got all this bubble wrap, you got everything planned, and they just go, yeah, screw your plan, I don't care, I just ignore all the rules.
It's bad.
So he 20-0'd me in the end, and because the game went on so long, obviously we started late, for some reason Tim gave us enough time to do another turn on top of that, which was I was a bit annoyed. I mean, we played all the time. Neither of us slow played. It was just a tight game all the way up, and that extra turn gave Malik the 20. Like, I could have got a couple of points, but Tim came over. Every other game was finished, hard dice down, apart from mine, for some reason.
And he said, "Play on, punk."
Yeah, basically. So I was a bit salty after that, but it's just one of them things. Like, ultimately, we've got to have the turns and the game's got to go on. But it's just it affected me game 1 where we couldn't play on, but this game's you can play on.
Well, can I ask, because I did ask before the tournament, did either of you use a chess clock during the tournament?
No.
Oh no, see. No. So I didn't use a chess clock because I had the trays, and they made a massive difference. So in game 1, me and Ash just about made it to the end, but it was like really tight because we both have big armies. I had the massive Fire Warrior Horde, and he had Imperial Soup. So they're both really big armies. No one was playing slow, but it's both armies just take a while to play. And then Imperial Soup has units like Bullgrims, which charge you. And then when Talfire Overwatch is like a whole nother turn. So that was just a very long game because we both have a lot to do. But every other game 2, when me and Alex played, we got to turn 3. We kind of called it, but we played on till 4 or 5.
No, we called it on 4, but we had enough time for 5.
Yeah, we had enough time to go on to turn 5. And that was both of us had Fire Warrior Horde on the board.
Yeah.
Like, literally every other game, I made it to the end of turn 5.
Yeah.
So
if you know what you're doing
as a player, if you know what you're doing and you're like just before your turn starts and you just go ahead and do it, it doesn't take that long. And the movement trays were amazing, absolutely amazing.
I think anyone that uses Horde, a lot of people say, "Oh, you need to know what your army does." I disagree. Well, obviously you need to know what your army does, but you also need to know what your opponent's doing, and you need to think ahead on what you're going to do next turn. Because as soon as you start, you go, right, this is going to move here, this is going to move here, this is going to shoot that. Do you know what I mean? You've got to start thinking ahead, because the amount of I don't know whether they do it on purpose or what. The amount of Horde players out there that just go, right, okay, and then you just sit there and think for like a minute before they even move anything. And I'm like, I've had my whole turn for you to think.
Yeah.
It's one of those where I really need to hit home to people watching out there. You guys always need to think ahead and always use your opponent's turn to your advantage. It's not all about you rolling dice for them shooting you. It's about reacting to whatever they do in your head. You go, right, okay, he's done this now, or he's moved this unit over here. How can I counter that? Or how do I go for the objectives here for next turn? Do this, this, this. And that all needs to be going through your head during his turn, because then you can play your board quicker and not have that time issue. So yeah, like I think ultimately the time issue wasn't that bad. I think over the weekend it wasn't too bad, at least for me. But yeah, that was my game. Obviously, because it went on longer, it started late. I only had 2 minutes before the next round, and I was absolutely shattered. I'd hardly any sleep the night before. I hadn't eaten because I missed lunch because of that. So I decided to drop out for my last. That was the first sound.
Get used to it. Tournament life.
I was acting, so I also didn't want to. I may have felt bad for my last opponent. I was like, he's probably like, oh, I've lost 3 games. Why am I playing this horrific tower? So yeah, I went to grab some.
That's fine. Guys, we've been going on quite long here, so I tell you what, I'm going to cut you down. We did have something else. We were going to talk about the Belgian Team Championships, but I tell you what, we'll talk about that next week. We'll save that for next week. But what I do want to talk about just quickly is the whole internet is rife with what's going to happen in chapter approved and all that kind of thing. And I just wondered if you guys had any rumours. And bear in mind, we know nothing. We're not playtesters. We have no inside information whatsoever. However, the internet, probably one of the best things the internet is. One of the best things about the internet is that it is full of rumours. So I just wondered what rumours you guys had heard about chapter approved.
So for me, I've heard a few things on Grey Knights, Tau, and Eldar. So starting with Tau, I've heard that some of their battle suits are going down in points. So the crisis suits are going down in points. What do you call it? Broadside.
That the suits take are going down. That's what I've heard.
You heard what?
That some of the weapon options that the suits take are going down as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. Hopefully.
The suits go down quite a lot, because at the moment they're just not even playable.
No. Yeah, anyway. Crisis suits are overpointed, but hopefully they come down, because everyone has crisis suits that play Tau. Yeah. That'll be interesting. Broadsides are going down in points. I think they need a minor point drop. I think if they drop like 20 points each, they'll be playable again. Some people take them in armies, but they're overcosted for what they do and their durability. But if they drop down in points, I think they'd be fair. What else have I heard for Tau? I saw this picture that they were changing the drones from a 2+ to a 4+ to pass it on wounds, but I think someone may have just edited that. I don't believe it.
That seems strange. I don't think.
Yeah,
I quite like the idea that is Tau's thing, that they have these big scary monsters, and the fact that you can't just delete them off the board turn one. I quite like the idea that you can protect them like that. So
yeah, because I mean,
they should change that.
Can't cast powers, right? Like they can't cast Sanctuary and give themselves
exactly
stuff like that, and they can't cast Fortune and never feel no pain. They just don't, like that. So the drones are kind of there their support. I
Exactly.
suppose.
Every army should have something, and I agree with how Taus work. I think it's a good thing to have. So
It's not broken. So yeah, that's all I've heard for Tau. So moving on to Eldar, I've heard all sorts of stuff from Shining Spears going up 2 points to 3 points to 6 points.
wow.
I don't know. I've heard they're going up in points. I don't know. I couldn't tell you how many, but sources online that are still yet to be confirmed.
That's the only thing I have to do with is Shining Spears. So personally, I know everybody has a big problem with them, including me, but I think at 31 points, they're overcosted.
Yeah.
I think a Shining Spear should be about 28 points, but then it's the Ynnari Soul Burst rule, which is broken. I think that needs to go, and the bikes need to be about 28 points, which is about right for a bike like that.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that they get to do all these double moves and double shoots that makes them amazing. So make them to, if they go up by 6 points, it'll be 37 points for a 2 wound.
Well, look at
toughness 4.
this is my biggest gripe. Look at Gilliman and how he was nerfed so much. He's currently 400 points, and he has a bubble which can be stopped by killing him of giving rerolls to hit and wound. Now, if you look at the Ynnari keyword, it's basically giving everyone a buff, but they don't need to be near a character. You can cast it more than you can cast it as a power, and it's free. It's free. Yeah, that's what absolutely baffles me. If you were going to put Ynnari into an army, their characters need to be upped to like 450 points or 500, something like that. I'm not even joking, man.
It's just ridiculous. I totally agree.
Ynnari are basically, with the abilities they have, i.e. double shooting, Reapers every turn on an 8+ with a reroll, is effectively giving them like 1,000 points free every turn of the stuff they can do. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The Shining Spears attacking twice.
Because Space Marines, Guard, Blood Angels, all these different armies, they all do have the ability to shoot twice or combat twice. But if you shoot twice, that's going to cost you 2 CPs, and if you fight twice, that's going to cost you another 3. You've lost 5 or 6 command points in a turn doing that, which is most of your command points. But Eldar get to do that for free. If Eldar had to spend 6 command points doing that, that's it. Turn 1, you shoot your Reapers twice, and you move your Shining Spears twice, and you chart of fight twice with a unit, and that's what your command points gone with Eldar.
Yeah.
So you'd never be able to do it again.
Yeah.
If it was like that, and you'd only be able to do each soul burst like once per battle, each one of them.
Yeah, that's what I was
and then that's it. That would be, they'd be on the same level as everybody else. Then they wouldn't be rubbish. They'd still be amazing, but they'd be on the same par as everybody else. They wouldn't be head and shoulders above everyone.
Yeah. No,
personally, I've heard Grey Knights. I've heard some rumours about Grey Knights that, basically most Marines are coming down in points. So I've spent this week painting 2 Dread Knights. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it'd be great to see Dread Knights again. I mean, well, one thing that I'd like to see again that I've heard this week is Land Raiders. Apparently, Land Raiders coming down to about 200 points, and the cheapest one, the really rubbish one with the Hurricane bolters and stuff, could be 180 points. A toughness 8 tank with 16 wounds that transports guys for 180 points. I would love to see that. I just want to see that. It would be great.
That's really good.
Yeah,
that's really good. But that's pointing cost. Like that's fairly costly because all it's got is lots of wounds and some bolt guns. I mean, it's like a Lehman Russ Punisher's got 40 strength 5 shots and it's toughness 8, 13 wounds, hits on 3s. You know what I mean? It's like
how many points is a Lehman Russ tank? Just out of interest.
The commander, that's BS 3+. He's 195 with a Punisher Gatling cannon and heavy bolter. Yeah, if you take a normal Lehman Russ, shots. Wait for it. The normal Lehman Russ, which is BS 4, that's 150 points for the 40 shots.
So you may as well.
Mate, 150 points for a Land Raider is too much. This should come down to 140 points.
No, to be fair, it's got a 2+ save. It's got transport capacity. That's
I think
that's
about
quite
200
big, and it's got 16 wounds. So,
Yeah.
like 180 to 200 points for that is fair, and you might actually see them on the board then, which would be really
actually
cool.
fair. I thought that was great. When I heard that, I was like, that'd be brilliant, but I think that's probably a bit too far-fetched. But by the sound of it, that's actually just a really good points cost. Why the hell are they 180 points now?
Oh, they screwed the points.
If you think about it, you know a battle wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's gone.
Oh no! He's gone.
This is really awkward because I'm now looking at myself.
We're never gonna know what happened to the battle wagon.
Well, I guess what he was going to go on about is the points, because the points for what they are and how durable they are, it's pretty good. So,
you just give them that
yeah, I think
free, don't you?
because they're like what 140, 150, but yeah, they're still quite durable. They're good in combat, you know, all the good stuff. But yeah, I think if they drop down in points, it'll be a good thing. It'll be good for Marines, especially along with everything else if they drop. But yeah, as Jesper says, 2+ save isn't what it used to be. Is right, you know, but if you get your Land Raider in cover behind a ruin, you know, you give it a 1+ save, they're still quite tough to kill. I mean, any tank with a 2+ save and 16 wounds is pretty strong, unless, you know, you're facing things like Knights, Magnus. They're the things that, you know, clear big stuff quite quickly. But, you know, you feel it. I tell you what, if they drop that many points, you can start putting Space Wolves in them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can put Wolfguard, Thunderhammers, and you'll actually see combat Marines that are good.
But that's
getting
it,
across the board.
you just need ways of delivering these Marines.
Here's one. If you go second with the Land Raiders, you get 1+ save.
Yeah.
If you go first with the Land Raiders, you get that Rune Priest power to give everyone around you 6 inches cover, and then -1 to hit with the strategy.
Oh, right.
So you can
So a Space Wolf Land Raider will always have a 1+ save.
Yeah, with a minus, and you pop smoke, it has a -2 to hit. That would be amazing. That would be broken.
Oh, you heard it here first, guys. Get painting those Space Wolves.
Full of Space Wolves and Grey Hunters with their Terminator bodyguards and all that stuff. Oh, mate, that would be brilliant. I might do that, just troll them. And they'll just batter me with, I don't know.
You know what you should do, mate? You should jump on the Glasshammer Gaming web store and you should buy yourself some Space Wolves. That's what you should do.
I've already got the Wolf Guard. They're around that.
Hello?
Oh, here he is.
Back.
He's back. He's come back.
Oh, my phone overheated. It overheated. It just spazzed out on me.
Well, well done, Manny. You are just in time to come back to say goodbye to everyone, because I think we're done.
Okay. Awesome.
So
we were just saying how awesome Land Raiders might be with Space Wolves, with the cover save and the stratagem to give them a -1 to hit, and then just fill them up with like Wolf Guard and stuff.
That'd actually be awesome. Oh yeah, that was the only thing I wanted to say is that a battle wagon. If you look at a battle wagon, it's about 150 points with a few big shooters on it. And that's toughness 8 with, I think, 16 wounds. Toughness 8 with 16 wounds, but it's only got a 4-up save. So the Land Raider, if it was about 200 points, but it's got the 2-up save, it'd be about right.
Yeah, I think so. Well, you know, I was quite hoping with that. I thought we were pushing our luck with that wish, but actually seems like it's quite reasonable, which is good news. It's good to hear.
And if it's mixed with all the points decreases that we're hearing for Space Marines, we might see some Marine chapters back, and hopefully in a good way. You know, Grey Knights, Space Wolves, even Blood Angels, maybe. You know, who knows? Death Company and Land Raiders.
Yeah, 100 point Dread Knights and 5 point Strike Marines for Grey Knights.
Yeah, 5 point Strike.
Yeah.
Imagine the money gains Workshop would make with 5 point Strike Marines. Being as they're £40 a box.
Neil's just joined us an hour late. Sorry, Neil, we're just finishing up now. But you can watch the stream back after it. Will save on our Facebook. So
it will be saved on the Facebook, and all of our videos also go on YouTube as well. Which they'll go up there. And so it will join the new battle report, which Alex, I believe, you've posted earlier on tonight.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description now. Actually,
Yeah, so that was me and Manny played a game. I was playing Space Marines as usual because I do love my Marines. Manny was playing his town. It was a bit of a warm up game for him for Element.
And baby, first game.
And yeah, we had a really good game. We played the ITC missions because we're trying to play a lot of ITC missions at the moment, just to make sure that the rules pack when we release it for St George's Champion is as good as we can make it. We want to test those missions out, make sure they're good for you guys, to make sure you have a good game.
And it was an awesome game, actually.
It was a really good game. Yeah.
It's quite good to watch, actually. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. We had a right laugh filming that. So yeah, please jump on YouTube, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Let us know if you liked it. Let us know how we can improve. And just watch us have a laugh. But there'll be plenty more battle reports coming in the future. We're putting things in place now to bring a lot more content to you guys. So hopefully you're happy with it. Lovely.
Yeah, I've just posted the link now, so yeah, check it out and let us know what you think.
Awesome.
And yeah.
Cool. All right then. Lovely. So guys, I think that's it for tonight. I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna have a couple more beers and binge watch some series, whichever it may be. And Manny, what are you up to tonight? Just a quick rundown.
Wouldn't you like to know?
You're disgusting. Keep this PG.
Ah, you dirty bird. Oh no!
The fact that you even need that.
Oh, Manny, what are you like?
I'll teach you a thing or two, so you don't need that next time. On that note, I'm going to use mine. What?
Manny, I do hope your parents aren't
yours
watching
is just
me.
another army lad sitting there on your bed waiting for you to come off the call.
Oh, God.
Bye, people. We love you.
Awesome.
Yeah,
See
you guys.
guys. Enjoy. Have a good weekend.
Bye.